Got a global thought leader in education and economic policy, Dr. Michael Spence, and he, of course, is the president and provost of University College London. He's in conversation again with my colleague Hina Gambhir, news editor at Times Now. May we welcome both on stage on a topic which is campuses to communities, universities as global change makers. And this promises to be both thought-provoking. It is very timely as well, so welcome and look forward to this conversation. Can we ask Dr. Michael Spence to join us on stage as well? Ladies and gentlemen, warm welcomes for them. Over to you, Hina.
Thank you, Vikram. Good afternoon, Dr. Spence.
Good afternoon.
How did you find India this morning, Delhi?
It's been good to be here for all of about 3 hours.
Super. So we are here to discuss the role of universities because they produce global change makers, leaders of tomorrow who will shape our future. So universities are extremely important in this day and age. I was just doing my research to understand universities. You've moved from Sydney to London, and a university in Morocco was founded in the year 859, and it still awards degrees. The University of Bologna in Italy has been in continuous operation since 1088. Today, there are about 50,000 odd universities across the world, and 5,350 are in India alone. So, I want to start by asking you a broad question, Dr. Spence. How have universities changed over all these years in terms of inclusivity and access, and what they are producing?
Look, I think the thing about a university is that we talk about the university as if they're all the same and as if they've been the same over time, whereas they are very radically and dynamically changing all the time, even if some of their practices remain relatively constant. So a place like UCL, we're an enormous engine of economic growth. So in a recent study that unusually our economists said was too methodologically conservative, showed that UCL contributes £9.6 billion a year to the UK economy. That's the same as a London Olympics every year from UCL. And our graduates expect rather different things to the graduates that graduated in Morocco all those years ago. And in particular, they expect to be prepared for the new economy. So we run Europe's largest startup program, for example, Europe's largest entrepreneurship programs. These are the kinds of skills that a wider, more diverse, economically more savvy student base wants from a place like UCL.
Interesting. Now, universities are a cradle not just for careers but for leadership as well as change. But we find some kind of disparities. Even though in underdeveloped or developing countries the number of universities is more, there are top universities that are still found in the developed world. So I want to ask you a little bit about how access definitely has improved, but in terms of disparities which still exist, does it need correction?
Yes, so there is no doubt that disparities in education need correction. And a part of the job of a place like UCL is to be working with our partners across the world in leadership education as well as in research. And we have very strong partnerships across the majority world. For example, a terrific program in South Africa that works with two of our closest university partners there. But in a place like India, it's a wholly different story because, of course, the Indian universities are producing remarkable graduates and doing research of the very best caliber. So in the recent agreement that we've just signed with IIT Delhi and with AIMS, an unusual trilateral agreement. We're more than 50% health and medicine, but we're also European leaders in AI. And that's a collaboration that is bringing the latest in AI technologies with medical research and practice together. That's really cutting-edge stuff at the highest global level.
Good to hear that. But before I talk more about how can universities, improve in terms of preparing the leaders of the future, I have a question on what these industrialists today are saying, the global icons. In fact, some of the industrialists who are global icons as well, they scoff at the idea of a university degree itself. Elon Musk, Donald Trump, citing the examples of Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, they say that a university degree is not what we really need, to become a leader, to become an innovator, to become an entrepreneur. How will you like to respond to these kind of comments? And also, do you think perhaps the universities also need to look at changing something so that this perception also changes?
So in my last job, when I was Vice-Chancellor at the University of Sydney, we did a very large global study with employers in Australia, India, China, the United States, the United Kingdom, Italy, France and Germany. We also did some deep work in the theoretical literature and engaged work across a variety of sectors. And we were interested in just one question, that is, what is the education that you're going to need to have the intellectual and social flexibility to survive the fourth industrial revolution? And interestingly, almost univocally, everybody came back and said a deep understanding of a discipline. And that's because you need to know something about something to know anything about anything. You need that to develop the core critical thinking skills that actually are going to mean that you'll survive. You also need a capacity to think across the disciplines, a sort of T-shaped education that is multidisciplinary as well as disciplinary. And hey, guess what? That best happens in a university where all the a comprehensive university where all the disciplines are represented. You'll need an international perspective. And we not only have students from about 160 countries, but we send our students right across the world in learning experiences of one kind or another. But interestingly, they're also saying you need the capacity to bring that all together in teams to solve practical problems. And universities around the world are experimenting with how you lower the barriers, how you soften the border between university and work. And we have a number of activities of that kind at UCL, not least the largest entrepreneurship education program in Europe that over the last 4 years has produced 750 startup companies producing everything from African hair care products.
So you don't agree with their thought, basically?
No, not at all. There's a lot I don't agree with Elon Musk about, but that is one of them.